Hey everybody, what's going on? My name is Andy, I'm a self-taught software developer, and in today's video I'm going to talk to you guys about why I don't work at Google, why I've never applied to Google, why I don't work there, why I've really never applied to any of the large tech companies. So I think you guys are really going to enjoy this video. Now before I hop into my video, I highly recommend subscribing to my channel. My channel is 100% about becoming the best software developer you can be. For a lot of people who are out there who are going the self-taught route, I teach you strategies, tools, tips to make it to your first job. The goal of this channel is to have anyone, anywhere become a software developer. So I highly recommend subscribing below and hitting the bell icon to make sure you get notifications. Now with that aside, let's talk a little bit about why I have never worked at Google and why I've never even applied at Google. So just kind of give you background about myself if you don't already know. I became a software developer in 2015. I went the self-taught route. You can go ahead and look at my story here. I'll provide a link to that. Basically, in 2014, I was working as a car salesman. Wasn't very happy with my life. Came across a friend who recommended I become a software developer, and from there I fell in love with it. And ever since then, it's been on it's been a career that I have a huge passion for. I fell in love with, and I've just, it's been amazing ever since. And the one thing you should know about me, and you'll probably pick up from my channel, is that I love software development, but not only that, love being a really good software developer. So I love just the craft itself. I love being the type of developer that can do damn near anything, right? Like, it's just a really good problem solver, is versatile, when called upon or assigned a task can complete it. I always wanted to get to that high level, right? That 1 or 2% of developers out there. And so I've worked my ass off the last couple of years to get where I'm at. And while I've only really worked for small companies. So the first company I worked for was about 4 developers, and then the second company I worked for was a bigger company, but we still had a smaller development team. I think we had 5 developers technically. So if you think about it that way, it's like, well, why did I never make the leap to try to apply at one of the big tech companies? So Google, for example, right? Because Google is the gold standard for, if you're a software developer, once you go there, it's like you're looked at like you're this amazing developer. So truth be told, I've always thought about it in the back of my mind, but I had never done it. So here's why. So I have been blessed, just with luck, I think, really in a lot of ways, that the first company I worked at was an amazing environment. The company itself was only 12 people, but in terms of the development team, it was awesome. Like, first of all, they were massively supportive. So everyone there from the day I got there was always supportive of me in terms of making sure that I had what I needed to be successful. So if I had questions, if I had needed to be explained something, there was typically a developer there who would take the time to do it, and that was massively helpful. So I really had good mentors around me, right? Now the second part of that luck is obviously the support of that first company, but I was surrounded by, I had 3 people at least I can think of offhand who had 10 to 15 years experience each. It's almost between 3 people there was a combination of almost 50 years of experience. And not only were they supportive, like I had just mentioned, but they were all they had really good insight into the tech industry, into programming just in general. And I learned so many things that I wouldn't have learned if I didn't have the same environment where there was maybe developers who saw me as a threat, or who weren't really willing to share their knowledge. Where I worked at that first job, again, small company, small development team, but man, it was awesome to have a group of people who were so skilled, so experienced. They were all super passionate about their careers, so they weren't the type of people who get 15 years into their career and just like, oh, I hate this is so boring. They were all passionate, and they saw that I wanted to learn a lot, and so they were willing to help me out. So at my first job, it was like, it never even came across my mind that it's like, why go to Google? I have this amazing environment here. Even if I, and by the way, getting to Google is not easy, don't get me wrong, but even if I were, hypothetically to go there, it's like, am I necessarily going to get all of the support and experience somewhere at Google? I didn't know. So it never really came in my mind at that time. Now, fast forward to my second job, it was a little bit bigger of a company, like I had said, but still the development team is really good. Everyone there is honest. Like, I have so much respect for everyone that was on the development team of my second job, because they all had a lot of experience, but they're all just very smart. I really felt that as my skills increased, I was becoming closer to being a peer. But still, when you don't have 10 or 15 years experience and you're with other passionate developers, you're never going to catch up, right? But I felt like I was starting to get to the point where I can contribute a lot and provide value at a much higher level. So I felt that even at my second job, I was still in a good team. I was in a company where I had influence. So what I'm saying is I could talk to the boss of the company, I could talk to the project manager, and if I felt something really strongly about something, they would consider my opinion, right? Like I had influence. And one of the problems with going to any of these big tech companies is that, again, this is just from people who I've talked to in those types of companies, is that first of all, it's a great experience, no doubt about that. Most of the big tech companies are typically, right? Typically, there's definitely outliers, but typically it's a really great experience from just your work environment. But one of the downsides is you can get put in a silo, meaning you can get put on a team where you're just kind of doing one thing, and you can have influence on that team, but outside of that, the scope of your power is limited, right? So at a smaller company where I have direct access to the owner of the company, and we literally can go out and have lunch and talk about things, and I can pour out my case for why I think something should be changed. In those cases, to me, it's so worth it to be in that situation because I don't want to be in a place with a large bureaucracy. I've never really worked there, but I can all my friends who have ever worked at large companies have talked about that being the number one downside, is that sort of bureaucracy of a large tech company, right? Now, I think another reason why I've never even attempted to work at Google is because, look, I've had a good work experience thus far. I've been surrounded by very skilled developers. So it's I never really felt that huge pull. Don't get me wrong, I felt a pull to try my luck at really being surrounded by the best developers in the industry, right? At Google and Facebook, etc. But for me, I understand that the preparation and effort that would go into preparing for a job interview at any of these companies would take quite a lot of effort. And all of my effort at this point has really been focused on getting to be a better developer, the type of developer that really knows, for example, I know C# extremely well. I know JavaScript and a front-end framework like Angular very well, and I feel so comfortable with them that I would have to take time away from that to work on programming challenges, work on answering interview questions really in depth, even more in depth than I know now, which does take you away from what you're doing. So it didn't move the needle enough for me to work for a big tech company to really invest that time and effort that it would take. And like I said, it was never on my radar because I've always been have had a great experience. Now, for you guys who are watching who are a little bit younger, so I'm 33. I started this when I was, I guess, at that time I really got my first job when I was 29 or 30, 29, let's say. If I had been a little bit younger, if I think I was 24, 25 when I got my first job, I think that that's really the time to aim your ambitions high. Go for getting that early experience with a really highly respected company. And that way it's something that not only you have on your resume, people love to talk about, oh, have Google on your resume, have Google on your resume. But look, you get to see a big company in action. You get to be surrounded by really talented people, which is amazing. And you cannot underestimate the benefit of that. But more than anything else, you just get this seed planted in your head that where you stand in terms of the world and what you can expect out of life. So you're going to be more ambitious just by working at a place like this. Now, again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what age you are. If you're 35, go for Google. Don't let people tell you that you can't do it. But believe me, you're going to have to prepare. You're going to have to work your ass off to get there. The best thing you can do, again, this is from advice of friends, is to get recommendations or referrals, I should say, from these companies. So that can kind of be your in. But look, even if you can get into the interview process, that does not guarantee that you are going to take it to that next level, right? Because they do have a higher standard in terms of what your skills look like. So if you're willing to put in the effort, if the place you're working at now isn't quite meeting your standards, if you do need a new challenge, if you want to rise your game up to the top 1% or 2% or whatever percent of developers out there, which I'm a huge fan of. I love that challenging and competitive aspect. Then I highly recommend you do it, no matter what age you are, no matter even really what skill you are. If you're just looking for your first job and you're self-taught, it's gonna be fucking hard. I use that word precisely, the F word, because it's gonna be fucking hard. So if you really are considering it, step up your game and just go for it. But also consider that, working at a smaller company can be a perfect place. It can be the perfect incubator for yourself if you find the right company that's supportive, if you find that there are skilled developers there who you can really like sink your teeth into their mentorship, oh my God, that's so worth it. And then, like, I know you won't have Google on your resume, you'll have a smaller company, but believe me, it will be so worth it. It'll be so valuable, and it can make your career so much better. So don't think that Google is the only way, or Facebook is the only way to, level up your career to the highest level, or even get paid a lot. Like, there's plenty of people who have never worked for Google who get paid plenty because they're so skilled, and they've really focused on their skills over, trying to get awesome companies on their resume. So I hope that helps. I hope that you have a better understanding maybe of why I have never worked at Google. I've never applied there, and maybe you can apply that to your journey as well. So you guys, thank you so much for watching. Hit the like button below. As I said earlier, subscribe to this channel. Other than that, guys, I have a free report that I just created. I've been getting a lot of questions about what are the best programming languages to learn as a beginner. So I created a free PDF. So if you are interested in reading that, if you're new, if you're just starting out, I highly recommend checking it out. Go to andysturkowitz.com/report. Then you can go ahead and download that PDF. So other than that, guys, thank you again so much, and I will see you later.